Newsradio 1270 and 106.7 KIML. Don Carpenter Show. Welcome back. It is 8:08. And I saw this story this morning, and I did a little bit of looking into it during the break just to make sure that I had my information right. But I wanted to share with you. It's been reported in a bunch of places this morning. The Washington Post originally reported this. My version of the story is at townhall.com from Katie Pavlich, of course, who always has perfect hair. But Bob Owens, our buddy over at bearingarms.com, also reported this as well. But Virginia Attorney General Mark Herring, Democrat, of course, is going to unilaterally end the state's long-held concealed carry reciprocity agreements with 25 states. The move comes shortly before anti-gun zealot and Michael Bloomberg-backed Governor Terry McAuliffe leaves office. The agreements are reportedly being severed with states deemed to have quote-unquote weaker concealed carry requirements compared to Virginia. Specific details about what provisions in other states qualify as weaker have not been provided. So you ask, well, what does that have to do with us here in Wyoming? We don't need a permit to carry, but if we do have a Wyoming permit to carry, we can carry in other states that have reciprocity with Wyoming. And the way Wyoming does their reciprocity, and this is actually from the state's Division of Criminal Investigation website. The official rule is, with Wyoming, any state that recognizes a Wyoming concealed carry permit can use their concealed carry permits in Wyoming. So as it is right now, someone from Virginia that has a concealed carry permit can carry a concealed weapon in Wyoming. Now, we do have constitutional carry here, but it's only for residents of the state of Wyoming. If you're a resident of the state of Wyoming and you have no plans of carrying a concealed weapon outside state lines, you don't ever have to worry about going to the sheriff's office and getting fingerprinted like a criminal and all that kind of stuff. You don't have to worry about that stuff. But if you want to go to Virginia, until now, you could go to Virginia with your Wyoming carry permit. You could concealed carry. You wouldn't have any problem. Virginia is going to do that. Now, what's going to happen because of this is a lot of states like Wyoming are just going to not recognize Virginia permits. And that's the way it should be. If they're not going to recognize ours, we shouldn't recognize theirs. Katie Pavlich's story goes on to mention that, by the way, the Virginia agreement would also lock out Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, Delaware, Florida, Idaho, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Minnesota, Mississippi, Montana, Nebraska, New Mexico, North Dakota, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Washington, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. None of those people, even though they've gone through all the loopholes to get a permit in their states, none of those people would be able to carry in Virginia. The only permits that Virginia would recognize would be West Virginia, Michigan, Oklahoma, Texas, and Utah. Now, again, you ask, why does this matter to me? Well, here's why it matters. And Katie Pavlich goes on to talk a little bit about a bill that was introduced in the Senate by John Cornyn from Texas called the Constitutional Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act, which would basically nationalize carry permits. If you have a carry permit in any state, you could carry in any other state, which it is a step in the right direction, but it's missing the entire point by a mile. The point is that as soon as you start giving states the ability to give and take reciprocity, give and take your permit for whatever reason, as soon as you start giving states the ability to do that, they're going to abuse it. And Virginia is just the latest example of it. That's why you're starting to see more and more states move towards true constitutional carry. I mean, it was passed in 2 states and vetoed in 2 others just this past year. West Virginia and Montana almost had it until their Democrat governors vetoed the bills. The legislatures of West Virginia and Montana approved full constitutional carry, and their Democrat governors shut it down. Of course, Kansas and Maine did pass it, and their Republican governors signed the bills. So now Kansas and Maine are full constitutional carry. And even for non-residents, by the way. Wyoming is a little weird, but we can work on that as far as allowing non-residents to carry concealed without a permit. We can work on that in the future, but the way it is right now, you have 6 constitutional carry states. Wyoming for residents, Alaska, Arizona, Kansas, Vermont, and Maine. And we need to work on more of those because this bill by Cornyn, while it would be better than what we have right now, which is a bunch of states that have a bunch of different requirements, and again, the only requirement is you're born with the right to keep and bear arms. As soon as you start letting a state have a say in whether you can carry it under your shirt or in your pocket or outside of your shirt or strapped to your ankle, it doesn't matter. The Second Amendment doesn't have any restrictions on that. It says shall not be infringed. And Virginia is just the latest example of another state that thinks that they don't have to follow the rules. Now, I imagine the attorneys general of a lot of these states, 25 states, are being shut out by Virginia. I imagine the attorneys general of a lot of these states, I imagine our attorney general will probably get on his case as well. But what's going to happen here is Virginia, as Terry McAuliffe is on his way out, is going to basically infringe upon the rights of not only Virginia residents, but residents of 25 other states, including the residents of Wyoming, when they travel within the state of Virginia. You're not going to be able to defend yourself in Virginia anymore. So, why does it matter? Because these things, they cross state lines. I mean, the bad guys surely aren't going to worry about it. Some drug dealer driving from Norfolk, Virginia, all the way across the country and just happens to be passing through Wyoming on Interstate 80 or 90, that drug dealer from Norfolk, Virginia, he's not going to care that Virginia and Wyoming don't have reciprocity. He's going to be carrying a weapon anyway. Because again, the bad guys don't follow the rules. Only the good guys follow the rules. That's why all this nonsense of permits and background checks and all that stuff is beyond constitutional. And, it's time we stop worrying about reciprocity of permits. It's time we start working on nationwide, true constitutional carry. It's the only answer that's going to work in every state. And it's going to be tough in some places. It's going to be tough to get California and New York and Virginia on board, but they need to be on board. That's why it needs to be done at a federal level. The Constitution is a federal document. The 10th Amendment says any rights and privileges not specified in the Bill of Rights are left to the states. Well, the Second Amendment is specified. It's a federally protected right. No state can take it away from you. Not even Virginia. Newsradio 1270, 106.7 KIML.
Don Carpenter on Newsradio 1270 and 106.7 FM KIML.